And George, maybe you take us through the action here.
Okay, so we've got a min raise from Owen, a free bet from AbsolutTopUp. I don't know so much about. 300 big blinds deep. All right, and we get a big 4-bet, which I think is obviously good at these depths, although not seen it used by so many people, but nice one from Owen. No pre-flop, I guess. And cool. King X. And yeah, this is where we need a disclaimer that 300 big blind deep 4-bet pots are not my speciality. Let's see what Owen cooks up here. Quarter pot c-bet. Cool. Yep. So I'm just debating, like, normally in a classic 4-bet pot situation, obviously, the 4-better has a big ace-king off advantage in these positions. But 300 big blinds deep, I'm actually just not sure it's the case so much anymore, because obviously ace-king off pretty much a pure flat for the in-position player now, and the OOP player might flat it to 3-bet sometimes as well. So yeah, maybe not quite as a kind of like advantageous board. Also, obviously 100 big blinds deep, you can just triple queens stacks, which obviously is not going to be the case now. So more defensive strategy required. But yeah, I think I've seen this hand as well. I'm remembering. So yeah, let's keep it running.
Seen this.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Mark, you take us through the rest of it to avoid any potential spoiling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let Marcus predict the showdown before the showdown happens as well.
Okay. So we small flop, half a turn.
Yeah, half turn, and there's about 1 SPR left on river.
Yeah.
Goes in. Gets called.
All 300.
My prediction is, because we're watching this hand, and the absolute top is gonna have 7-6, and Owen's gonna have probably, let's say, what does he have here? Let's say Pock 10s. That's my prediction.
Pock 10 pre-flop 4-bet to 30 bigs. I guess so.
Pock 8s, that's close. Oh, I actually seen this hand. Yeah, Ace 9.
Yeah, sick one.
So,
and the question is obviously, like, when you think of Absolute's range, he's probably supposed to be pretty polarized, you know, when all 300 go in. And then like this kind of hand is not unreasonable to have, obviously, as a bluff in a polarized range. But then, like Marcus said, with the 7-6 and so on, there is like a lot of this kind of hand. So yeah,
I mean, you don't fall much on the flop against the small size, so you got 7-6, you have some lower pocks and stuff. So
yeah.
Pock 8's a bit questionable to bet on blast off, I guess, but I guess it's fine.
What's Owen supposed to be doing with ace king, no heart, with king queen of spades kind of hands?
I would guess just like not check call the turn, so do something else. Check raise bet. Try to get stacks in somehow.
It's not a thrilling line. I also think that Marcus, I mean, I could be wrong again, like with a washed up disclaimer, which I'm just going to leave for the rest of the video. But I think that, yeah, you've got two of the least precise, probably high stakes regs out there. But I do think like some of these hands, like King X is still not very advantageous for you even 300 deep. So I don't think you can like go super wide to the C bet. So some of these 7-6 and so on, they might just fold the flop straight away. Like I think most of your flop calls with this kind of hand class, like 7-6 pocket 8s or whatever, is where the EV comes from bluffing future runouts, right? And at least in theory, if you float all of them, you can't bluff profitably on future runouts, so you have to like not float all of them basically. But in practice, who knows? Like from what I've seen of this challenge, I wouldn't be looking to make wild floats to try and bluff guys for 300 big blinds, to be honest, because like guys, they don't seem to be going anywhere.
Yeah, people don't seem to like the fold in this challenge.
I feel like pocket ace is like kind of reasonable because you can't fold the flop with a like bow out and heart and like yeah, if you actually are disciplined enough to fold these other hands or maybe choose to bluff this ahead of the other hands, because like there's obviously logic for that, then probably nice enough line.
To me, Pock 8 seems a bit naughty on the turn, but I might be
Yeah.
like overestimating how loose we call on the flop. Because to me, it just doesn't accomplish enough. Like just hoping to bet the turn to get like the river where we can bluff. Because like you don't get almost any better hands to fold on turn. You don't get that much protection. Like sure you get like 2 overs to fold, but like you mostly try to set a price to like check the river, I guess.
But for half
he's
pot
not
on
shoving
turn,
up.
it's definitely more looking like he's doing that, planning on bluffing the river strategy than he is
But, like,
trying to get a street of value.
But like, what if like river is like one of the costs that's lower than 7? Like, are you gonna bluff pockets there?
I don't think so, but who knows?
Maybe though.
Maybe we
Yeah, I
have
don't
much else to. It's not like you float the flop with much, and you don't want to bluff hearts, right? So you have to look in this kind of thing. I will just say last for
Yeah.
Nan. I think that's one of the sickest things about this challenge, by the way. Like often, if you play high stakes, like I sometimes dabble in high stakes. Normally, when we've got a friendly VIP player in there, you get a lot of guys who just won't ever take this kind of line. You know, they're like there to play kind of solidly, take some money from the fish, play solidly, but when it gets to 300 big blind 4-bet pot as pre-flop caller, they're not even like trying to think about what to bluff with necessarily. Whereas in all of the guys who've shown up here, they're like here to play, which is sick for the spectator, obviously.
Yeah, I think like back in the day, let's say like 5 years ago, like once it was like 200, 300 big blind effective, like people were not really like looking to put the stacks in. But nowadays you see completely like different strats, like using a larger like pre-flop sizing and like bombing the flop more when you're deep and stuff like this.
Do you think that comes from players having more confidence of how the game is supposed to work?
I think it's just like the solvers kind of show this. Nowadays it's so easy to solve even like deeper spots. When back in the day, I think people mostly focus on like studying 100 big blinds.
I also think it's
like,
how people perceive themselves as well. Sorry, Mark, keep going.
No. So,
I was going to say it's how people perceive themselves. Like back in the day, a lot of high stakes regs perceived themselves as like exploitative players, let's say, or even to some extent just guys who are there to take the money from the VIP. Whereas nowadays, a lot more people come through who like perceive themselves as like strong equilibrium players, who's like most of their game plan revolves around trying to like play as well as they can at equilibrium and not worry too much about the results or the showdowns afterwards.